Welcome back to The Comfy Chairs, a podcast from 123 Limited. This is your host, Kate. When I first entered organizational development, I had the opportunity to work on an extended learning program focused on accountability. As the work progressed, I told my new boss that if we had the chance to do a second program like this one, the next logical topic would be trust. Accountability is a common theme here in The Comfy Chairs, and creating accountability and managing performance in accountable ways relies on trust. Trust is the foundation of every result in the workplace. Relationships, productivity, profit, all of these depend upon trust. It's interesting to note that when we talk about trust building, we tap into the origins of the word itself. Trust derives from the word true, which in turn came from tree and wood. This gives us natural associations for trust with the qualities of wood that make it a great building material, meaning it is strong, durable, renewable, and organic. In the Thin Book of Trust, Charles Feltman writes, "Trust is fundamental to our sense of safety, autonomy, and dignity as human beings. It is also an integral part of every relationship we have." This episode marks our second anniversary, and I'm happy to celebrate this milestone with the friend who has trusted me in the comfy chair since day one. Welcome back, Angela.
Kate, thank you so much for having me back.
Thank you. Now, you've been on before, but I do like to offer my guests a chance to introduce themselves. So how would you like to do that this time?
Oh, well, that's a great question. Kate and I have been friends for many years, although we started out as colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
And I currently, do you want me to introduce myself by my job and my role, or is it about...
If you'd like to. I think it's
Okay.
relevant.
Okay. So my name's Angela Whale, and I am a mom and a wife and a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I have been in healthcare for 25 years now.
Has it been that long?
And in leadership for 23 of those 25 years nearly. So excited to be sitting here with you today.
Exactly. And you are a pretty phenomenal leader, in no small part because you are curious and growth-minded, and you build trusting relationships. So I think where I want to start is talking about how leaders do create trust. And it can be very personal, so let's take that as the perspective. What are behaviors that create trust for you when working with a leader?
We had a new system president that came in several years ago. And when I was looking at what others define as trust or how others think that leaders build trust, one of the things that stood out to me was open communication. Share information openly. And it's not just about sharing information on the fly, on the go. It's about having an intentional and structured approach to how I'm going to communicate openly and consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And this new leader created a communication cascade plan that I hadn't seen others do before. And it provided a structure when we knew this leader was going to be making intentional touch points with us to share important information with us. And it's something that helped me to feel more connected instantly, and something that I've watched other leaders emulate.
We were still coworkers during that time. And I think what I appreciated from that leader was not assuming that that type of cascade was going to happen without his intervention.
Yeah.
It's prior to that, what we had often experienced as an organization was a wish for good flow of information. And I think you become trustworthy when you take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I call arm's length of somebody should do this. It was, I'm the leader. I will do that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I've experienced as trustworthy. I also think that when a leader is willing to say, I was wrong about something, not only does it humanize them, but it takes their ego out of that equation.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, you're being real with me, even to the point of admitting your errors, even though that can be very hard for anyone, but particularly people in leadership, to say I was wrong. That is a significant way that I've experienced that myself. And how leaders respond when I make mistakes matters very much.
I was thinking about why you invited me to talk about trust and thinking about how you and I have built trust in our relationship.
Yeah.
And when you talk about admitting mistakes or admitting to wrongdoing, you have created that safe place for me to not be afraid to admit when I mess up. So I think psychological safety, creating safety is important for the receiver, for the individual who didn't get it right, to own up to, I might not have gotten it right.
A theme I keep coming back to recently is this idea of mutuality, that so much of what we do in the world, but particularly in leadership and how we interact with each other, depends upon both. Psychological safety isn't just a person creating a space. It's also a person being bold enough to admit to the mistake.
Yeah.
You don't have it unless both parties in that moment are doing the thing. It has to be mutual to be successful. And trust is one of those facets of relationships that depends on both people. That you want to be worthy of trust, but you also need people to give you that trust once you're worthy of it. And I think it's important to talk about mutuality in leadership so that we can help people remember that it is, you lead because you have followers. Even if you're just leading yourself, there's still a person involved that you have to be mutually engaged with.
Yeah.
We're kind of naturally moving from what have we seen leaders to do, but I'd like to explicitly ask this next question is how can new leaders go about establishing and then maintaining trust with their teams, do you think?
Well, I think about when I was a new leader and ways that I did that when I was a new leader. We gloss over it by calling it building relationships. So you need to build relationships with your team. Well, what does that really look like? Building relationships has to start with being present and showing up, being in the space, meeting the team where they are, and not expecting that they're going to come to you, seeking to understand.
Can I back up for a second?
Yeah.
When you say meeting people where they are, what does that look like? I think that's one of those terms that we sort of all understand, but when meeting people where they are gets up in the morning and goes out in the world, what do we see?
I'm going to think of an example where instead of assuming as the leader that I know that person's job or I know what they're doing, it looks like asking more curious questions. It looks like curiosity. It looks like dialogue. It is, how do I understand where you're coming from before I start communicating with you? You know, I've been with the same organization for more than 20 years. There are things I worked on a decade ago that I'm not currently involved with now. I think sometimes I hear about other people that are going to solve a problem that I feel like I already solved. And when I go to that person, instead of just letting them know what the answer is, because I know what the answer is, because I've done that before, I start by asking more questions about what the current situation was and what they've already tried before I just go to them and tell them what the answer is and what they should do.
I would classify that as respect.
Yeah, me too.
And a little bit of humility in there as well.
Yeah.
That, yes, I'm hearing about the same thing, but what do I not know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because nothing shuts people down faster than, well, we tried that and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Or at least nothing shuts me down faster than that. Like, here, I have this idea. Like, you didn't try it my way. So what else? What are some of the other behaviors? So I'm a brand new leader, my very first leadership job. I want to be trustworthy. I want to continually increase trust on my team. Day one, what can I do?
So I think spending time with the people, going to where they are and walking alongside them, asking curious questions about the work that they're doing, and respect their expertise in the work that they're doing.
Yeah. The very first thing I thought as I was asking the question is listening more than you talk.
Yeah. There's a book out there, isn't there?
Probably.
Talk less, say more.
I'll have to look that up. I don't know that I've heard of it. I think it's as rudimentary as take a pen and a pad of paper with you and be seen recording what people say, telegraphing to them what you know is important. Yes. I have something to learn from you.
So there's a risk in taking that piece of paper and pencil with you. We're talking about building trust, but you're a brand new leader. It's going to be important with your piece of paper and your pencil that you don't just start writing down the list of all of the things you need to do to make the environment better. So while you're building this trusting relationship and you're asking curious questions, another pillar of building trust is empowering the team and helping them to see where they can help solve problems and you don't take it on as the new boss.
Well, there's also, if it's something that you can and should take on, if you write it down as a takeaway for you, you do the thing.
Yes, that I'm going to follow up.
And you follow up and you know, here's the jargon, you close the loop. Right? You make certain that when you do something, people know you've done it.
Yeah.
You want to be positively predictable. So if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. People know that I'm going to show up in a certain way. I was talking with a coaching client a few weeks ago about, if you decide to do something different, you want to let people know I'm doing this different thing. The joking idea was, if you're going to start bringing cupcakes in on Monday and you've never done it before, when you do it, let people know I'm doing this and now I'm going to do this every Monday.
Yeah.
There will be cupcakes on Monday. And then every Monday, people are going to be looking for cupcakes. It's a way that you build trust, reputation, consistency, reliability. All of those things are connected. So whether it's cupcakes on Monday or I think of Ted Lasso, the water pressure is horrible in the showers. You fix it.
Yes.
You do the thing. So yeah, there's power in that piece of paper and that pen. There's a little bit of risk there, but it's a way for you to show people I'm listening and I'm going to take action.
Yeah.
You're not there to record what they're saying about each other.
Right.
You're not there as an undercover boss by any stretch, but there is something powerful about I'm going to take notes while you talk to me.
In reflecting on coming alongside the team, asking questions to help me have a better understanding of the work that they're doing, there's also an ability to communicate during those interactions that I care about you as a person more than I care about the work that you do or the job, the thing that you do for the company. And how do I, like we say, start building the relationship by asking more about what's important to you? Like, why do you do this job? Why is this job meaningful for you?
Yeah. I think there's an opportunity for new leaders and even established leaders to sort of do a survey of people they've worked with and for in their own past. Those people that were most trustworthy, that they, whom I trusted the most, what did they do to develop that? And not just the ways they made me feel and how I responded to them, but what were the observable behaviors? That's a very important thing because it's trust extends beyond words and feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It's built with the little actions
Mm-hmm.
every day. I quoted from one of the many, many, many books out in the world about trust called The Thin Book of Trust, which I like because it's very short. It's only about 100 pages. But that author talks about how fundamental trust is to our feelings of safety, autonomy, and dignity. And I'm curious to know your thoughts about the relationship between those and trust.
I've talked a little bit already about the safety component.
Mm-hmm.
I trust someone when I feel safe with them. I think that the feeling of safety is kind of the
Mm-hmm.
outcome of how I know I'm trusting someone. Gosh, what is the number one do I feel safe with someone is do I feel threatened by them? The opposite of do I feel threatened by someone? So how do we create safety so that we can build trust?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I got sidetracked. Why is it important for us to feel safe?
That is a wonderful question. There's so many reasons for it.
I can't show up as my best self
Yeah.
unless I feel safe with you.
Yeah. Well, there's also kind of this fundamental physiological function happening when it results in me not being able to be myself, best self, but also when we are on high alert, when we don't feel safe, there are things happening in our bodies that are preparing us for fight, flight, freeze, or faint.
Yeah.
So that we are not fully on. We are not functioning in the prefrontal cortex. The limbic system is there ready to grab the reins. So we want to create not just physical safety, but emotional, mental, psychological, relational safety so that we aren't creating a circumstance where people are in fear,
Mm-hmm.
having a physical reaction that results in a certain type of mental incapacitation. Yeah.
When you were asking me about the new leader and what's important for the new leader to focus on, the new leader is also probably a little uncertain about their
Mm-hmm.
leadership
Yeah.
and feeling a little insecure about their ability to do this job that they've been given. And so when I think about how that would feel as I'm walking into the workspace and I'm going to go spend time with the team, I have to be aware that my brain is probably telling me, like, people are watching you, they're going to be judging you, you need to keep it together. There's a certain expectation that I put on myself to live up to. And when I do that, then I can't be as genuine and authentic in my interactions with other people because I'm guarding myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of saying, I have to be good at this, I have to put on a face, I have to have it all together, coming to a place of, I'm going to screw this up and that's going to be okay. But I really need to be present and to be put myself into a place where I can be my true best self so that I don't create that barrier between me and the person I'm trying to build a relationship with.
Yeah. I've had a number of conversations recently about feedback and the way people respond to what can feel like critical feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And this connects in my head because I've got to set aside ego.
Yes.
I've got to be open to hearing something that may not feel good. But again, if we are creating mutuality in that space, it's because if I'm receiving feedback, it's because somebody wants me to be better or to be successful. So if I assume that good intent, that you are telling me something isn't working because you want me to succeed, it makes it easier, safer.
Mm-hmm.
And leaders can say, okay, I will be more successful if I am not constantly guarding myself.
Yes.
What am I guarding myself from? Failure, fear of failure. Well, chances are I may fail. I'm going to make a mistake. It will happen, inevitably. If not today, then soon. So let me set that aside and agree with myself trust myself that it will be okay.
Yeah.
That's a train of thought that I started following about trusting oneself. And what role does that have in leadership, do you think?
I think trusting oneself, I'm going to say that it comes with maturity.
Mm.
And I don't know that I'm right when I say that. Is that a filter and a bias that I have based on who I thought I was supposed to be in the beginning? So I guess saying it a different way, trusting oneself for me has come with maturity and experience.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Well, I think trust is a little bit, self-trust is a little bit different than confidence,
Mm-hmm.
too. Like you may be confident, I may be confident that I can do it this one time. Do I trust that I'll do it as well as I want, that I'll be able to get the results that I need? Do I trust that I'll be able to do it again?
Do I trust that I'll ask for help when I need help?
No, I don't trust that for either of us.
True story.
Yeah. The other kind of random thought that popped up as we've been talking is that trust is it's mathematics. It's the accumulation of evidence.
That sounds very interesting coming from English and art major.
I know. I was an AP math student. I just never enjoyed it. Yeah. But that's what you're doing, whether it's trust in myself or wanting people to trust me or giving my trust to someone. I'm adding up the total of times where you did what you said you would do. You were reliable, dependable, honest, strong, durable, like wood. And the sum total of that tells me I can trust you or I can't.
So, do you think we can ever enter into a relationship with a full bank? Do some people approach relationships saying, I'm going to trust this person until they give me a reason not to?
I think a lot of people do. Something you hear a lot is, I'll trust you until you prove me wrong.
Yeah.
And I've actually always kind of questioned that, because I think what we're doing is, we have the bank of trust. I've got my piggy bank here. There's trust in it. I'm going to hold it. And as long as you don't hurt me, cross me, what have you, then I'm open to giving it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the question is, are we willing or able to actually hand that over from the start? Or is trust something we always hold for ourselves and not share with other people, like explicitly? We're getting a little bit esoteric.
We totally are.
For this, I may dial us back in. I think it's a really interesting series of thoughts and ideas. And I do like that question of, do we really, for the people that say, well, I'm going to trust you until you show me that I can't. How feasible is that really, knowing that people are going through the world trying to protect themselves? And two, no, I've lost it. It's gone.
That's cool. That's all right. So let's go back to the new leader.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to talk a little bit about how important that leader's boss is, how important the trust between that new leader and their bosses.
Okay.
So we've talked about how I build trust with my team as a new leader, and we've talked about the importance of empowerment within that relationship. That can be significantly impacted by the relationship that I now have with my new boss.
Okay.
And how, if I trust that new boss, that building those relationships with my team now becomes a whole lot easier. If there is a reason why I don't have a trusting relationship with my boss, that has a direct impact on how I build relationships with my team.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think it's an interesting idea that in organizations, trust is never a one-off. It's always part of the larger picture, the continuum. Trust is a matter of culture.
Yes.
Then, I want to go back a little bit, and I think there is a connection. We talked a lot about safety, autonomy, and dignity. How do we show people that we are willing to give them autonomy as a means of creating trust? So if I'm the leader, okay, let me back up a little bit and see if I can get this question out clearly. So I think one of the things I'm struggling with, Angela, is deciding where is the perspective? Am I approaching this as in this case, the employee or the leader?
Yeah. It's easier to talk about if you're the employee.
I don't know that it is.
Okay.
I don't know that it is, because I really think at the end of the day, we're having this chicken or egg conversation.
Yeah.
It's part of, whether...
Because you talked about the mutuality.
Yeah. Well, think about it. So autonomy, I'm going to let you be free range, right?
Mm-hmm.
As the leader. So I am telling you, I trust you to complete the work as agreed upon. And you can now have the autonomy to do that within whatever bounds are appropriate. So I'm demonstrating trust in you. How does that leader's demonstration of trust in the employee translate into an employee trusting their leader? Does it?
It does. When I get an assignment from my boss and I know that she's giving me free rein to do the thing within the boundaries that she set, here's the outcome, here's where we need to get to. When I tell myself positive thoughts, I walk away thinking, my boss believes that I have the tools I need to do it. I have the competency to do it. I have the smarts I need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It builds confidence in myself.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the key thing. There's a difference between the boss who gives me autonomy and the boss who is hands-off.
Yes.
And so a key thing to build trust in this scenario is when I come back and I ask for clarification or I ask for help, that this leader is able to provide that support.
Mm-hmm.
And when the leader provides the support along the way and acknowledges the contribution that I made, that's what builds trust.
Agreed. I think that is some of the evidence. I think there's also a naturally self-serving component. When somebody grants me autonomy, I think they are a good decision maker, right? Like you've said, you can trust me. You're so smart because of course you can.
Of course you can.
So I trust your decisions. Yeah. So there is this kind of constant, it's constantly about both of us, which makes it more complex, but also deeply and beautifully interconnected.
So let's talk about dignity.
Yeah. What do you think about dignity?
I'm really curious what you think about dignity.
I think in this particular conversation, it is the outgrowth of safe environments where people are given the opportunity to have determination, i.e., to be autonomous. I think it is that feeling of, you're right, I can be trusted. I am respected.
I was going to talk about respect.
Yeah, I do. I think that in this context, when there is a safe environment where I trust that I won't be attacked or criticized for the purposes of hurting me or causing harm, and I am entrusted with the freedom to do things, those circumstances produce dignity for people.
So I don't mean to always go the opposite.
Let me hear it. I love it.
But in order to help me understand what this looks like, it's like, what does it not look like? And I think about times when, actually, I'm going to tell on myself here for a minute. I was in a meeting and I was asking someone to send some follow-up communication after the meeting. And in my attempt to provide the guardrails for them of what that communication should include, I provided so much detail that individual just said to me, well, did you just want to do this yourself?
Good for them.
When someone comes to us, what it does not look like is giving them the step-by-step instructions. We insult their intelligence that way, right? We take away any autonomy, and it lacks respect. It lacks respect for the contribution that they're bringing, and that they really don't need me to show them how to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was follow-up communication, for heaven's sakes.
Right? Like everything that had just been discussed.
Yeah.
What I like about that example is it's coming from a place of good intention. Right? You're not intending to insult the individual and say you're not capable and I think you're dumb, so let me tell you exactly how to do this. I want to make certain it's perfectly clear.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit about situational leadership before we started recording, and there is that trial and error of, is this somebody that's going to need that high level of direction? Can I be a little more support rather than direct? And sometimes you're going to get it wrong, to our earlier point. But yes, I would agree. That's what it does not look like. And it reinforces that idea that providing autonomy is not the same as being hands-off.
Yeah. You know, we talk about dignity a lot in healthcare. How do we maintain the dignity of the people that we're caring for in the most vulnerable times of their life? And in a healthcare sense, it means, how do we continue to respect that person? How do we continue to give that person, how do we not humiliate them in the moment that maybe they can't do anything for themselves? Maybe they're fully reliant on another human being. And there's a lot of humility in that, and trying to maintain that person's sense of self-respect and self-dignity. In these trusting relationships, the receiver, like you said, this is a mutual relationship. The receiver has a huge responsibility in ensuring that we're maintaining respect for that other person.
The dignity in healthcare matters to me, not just because of working in healthcare for so long, but I think about some of my family members. It's been close to 20 years ago now. My father fell off their roof and broke himself pretty severely. But my dad is a very modest person. And when you are broken and in a trauma event, your modesty is not a concern for the people trying to save you. It's not that they don't value or respect that you have modesty. It's just there is another priority. And one of the things that the trauma doc did for my father that made a difference there, and it's probably standard procedure, but before they came in and it was, like an episode of ER with all the activity, he said, in a moment, we're going to start. A lot of things are going to happen, which will include us doing things like removing your clothing. And even though Dad was still not like, yay, do it, he was prepared.
Wow.
There was that element of respect.
Yeah.
That when it happened, he was not surprised. It's so interesting how these elements of trust loop back into each other. An act like that, where it says your dignity may not be intact at the end of this, let me acknowledge it, let me set you up now, is a means of creating safety for that person.
Yeah.
Where you can't be autonomous, let me still acknowledge your worth and engage with you in the process. Yeah. So, I said dignity is this product of safety and autonomy, but I don't know that they can really be pulled apart. They're this lovely knot.
Kate, that was a beautiful illustration that you shared about your dad.
Yeah. He got amazing care during that. He did amazing work. Still very grateful for that team 20 years later. Because I'm talking about some of the work circumstances that you and I have shared, and I mentioned in the intro that learning program around accountability that I was able to be a part of when I first went over into the organizational development effectiveness team. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the intersection of accountability and trust.
When I was reflecting on the two earlier today, I thought about accountability a whole lot through the lens of the inside out leadership work that we've done. So when I hear the word accountability, the first person that I think about in that is myself, not about the other people. And I think that today in the business world, when we talk about accountability, so often we talk about holding other people accountable.
You know my thoughts on that.
And it makes me sick. So when I think about the relationship between accountability and trust, I go back to something that you said early on about being reliable, being dependable. So how do I show up? How do I say that I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do and follow through? You said close the loop. So it's really about the standard of accountability that I'm holding myself to show up as a trustworthy leader.
You're absolutely right. Accountability starts with leadership. And if you're talking about somebody needs to hold those people accountable, when you get to the hold accountable phase of things, you're too late.
Yeah.
Accountability is planted in the moment where a leader starts by getting their head and their heart right. What are my motivations? Am I approaching the work in a way that aligns with what we're trying to accomplish? And when my head and heart are right, then I can get clear about what the expectations are, what actually needs to be done, how, if I need to be detailed about that, by when, by whom, really clear about how the work is going to be measured and what feedback you can expect along the way. And this all starts with the leader. This isn't the employee's responsibility. But then there's also that question of consequence. What happens based on the actions? Is it, things don't go well and there's a negative consequence, whether it's corrective action or worse, or, hey, you have to do the work again because it was not done to spec? Or is there a positive consequence? Things are great and we all go on to, glory and riches. That moment of I'm aligning my head and my heart with what is best for the people and best for the work is where accountability begins. And if it's seated in the right place, where it's truly aligned to what we're trying to accomplish, then you're creating a ground, if you will, that's ready for people to trust. And we're fortunate, I think, because in healthcare, that alignment to purpose is so easy. It's just out there.
Yes.
Right? Even if you work in a non-clinical area in a healthcare organization, you can tie it back to a patient. It may take a little more effort, but you always know this is about caring for a human being at the end of the way. But I think in other industries and other businesses, there is still, even if we want to have profit and be profitable and able to pay people. Okay, this is what we're trying to accomplish. Is this really what's going to get it done? All right, now let me clearly communicate that. That moment of internal alignment to the work and the need of the work is key, not only for accountability, but ultimately to be a trustworthy leader. And then everything that we've talked about, the curiosity, the openness, empathy, respect, being dependable, it plays itself out throughout that moment of expectation setting, which is the foundation of accountability. So, and I, as the employee, I need a circumstance where I know that I can trust that the leader isn't asking me to do work that is not right. It's not aligned to what we're trying to do. It's not confusing or in some way unsafe, even beyond like physical safety or environmentally safe. But it's not going to put me at risk in any way, professionally, personally, what have you, because it's aligned with what we're trying to accomplish. And then I also trust that if I fail to meet the expectation, a consequence will be delivered. And if I meet or exceed, a commiserate consequence will be delivered. So again, it's that we're entering in from the moment of expectation setting for mutual trust. Sorry for the little lecture.
It wasn't a lecture. It was good. I was with you the whole time.
Good.
Yeah. You talked about the leader assigning work, right? You talked about the leader assigning work. When it's appropriate to do so, you can also really build trust by asking for the team's input before you decide on what the work looks like.
Yeah.
And when appropriate, allowing the people doing the work to participate in that designing of the work.
I think that's even an assignment. I mean, that's, I could make the case for that. That even saying we're going to co-create is a form of assignment if it's happening in the workplace. So there also needs to be, have I started with, this is the right thing to accomplish what we want to do, what we need to do for whatever our business is. Is it right and appropriate for the people? And then am I setting clear guidelines for them about how we're going to do this? You know, like, okay, at the very least, like, here's our budget. Here's how much time we have to get it done. It can look like this, but we can't, bring in 70 other employees to help us do it. Yes. And I love thinking of that next level of beyond entry-level assignments. How can you grow and build on those building blocks of trust?
Yeah.
But don't think that the basics go out the window when you start to do something more advanced, like let's co-create this process.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It's no fun. So we've talked about building trust. Trust can be lost. It can be broken. We started kind of down a tangent of I'll trust you till you prove me wrong. I don't want to talk about how trust gets broken, but I do think it's valuable to spend some time thinking about how we repair trust. We fix things. Is that something you've experienced? Has someone done that well with you?
Earlier, you talked a lot about, did you use the word the mutuality of the trust relationship? You talked about how it was dependent upon the trust giver and the trust receiver. What word were you using for that?
I don't know. I say
mutuality.
things. I say things and then forget. But I've used mutuality a number of times today.
I mean, when trust is broken, the first step is that we have to be willing to talk about it. We can't rebuild it unless we address or acknowledge the fact that something happened that damaged it.
Yeah.
By acknowledging that it happened, whether that is the receiver, I don't know how to say those two, one of the parties, the one that was the offender, offender is such a harsh word. I've broken trust with people a whole lot, and I don't want to call myself an offender. But I'm the one that messed up.
Yeah.
I'm the one that had a misstep.
Let's say the one that messed up.
Yeah. I'm the one that messed up.
Yeah.
By my acknowledging that I messed up and acknowledging the feelings that I hurt on the part of the other individual, gosh, that takes a level of vulnerability, a level of emotional intelligence. It, again, is pulling out the humanity in our relationship. I'm not going to get it right all the time, but if we really care about each other, that I can reconnect with you on the apology that this has happened and how I'm going to work hard to not let that same mistake happen again.
It's almost like renegotiating a contract in some ways. And this may not be the right metaphor for it, but what I think about is going through and being like, these are the terms that I broke. This is how I will make up for it. I will apologize. I will not do that thing. I will do this other. I will start doing something new entirely. I will do this immediately or the next time we meet, or that you're creating a clear set of contractuals You talked about humanity, and I think that's maybe the linchpin in this part of the conversation, is recognizing the humanness, that when we're talking about trust in our relationships, it does hinge upon human factors and how wonderful and horrible people can be almost instantaneously at the same time. Something I believe is missing from a lot of modern leadership, as I've experienced it, is embracing how flawed I am as an individual when I lead. And that those flaws are going to be pretty constantly on display.
Yeah.
Because I've accepted a role where people are watching me. That means I am often at risk of breaking trust, of being the one who messes up. One of the things I believe would go a long way to fixing the current state of the workplace would be for leaders to be more rapid in, one, acknowledging when they mess up, but also seeking the feedback for how to prevent, to mitigate those mess ups, those trust breaking moments. Not a question, but I'm curious what your thoughts and responses are to that.
I've been stuck on this thought when you asked me to think of an example of when this went well or didn't go well. I talked about what it's important for that person to do who's broken the trust, who's messed it up. But more times than not, I have to have somebody tell me I messed up.
Oh.
More times than not, I don't know that I've created the offense. I'll just share some of the examples that come to mind. So my tongue has gotten me in trouble a couple of times, to the extent that now one of my core values and core principles is that I will not say things about someone that I haven't said to someone. I don't ever want someone to be surprised about what I'm saying about them unless I've had the conversation with them. I can remember as a newer leader, I had a team meeting and they just, it was not a good meeting. My team was really disgruntled. And I walked out of that meeting just feeling like I had been beat up.
Yeah.
And I was sharing in the hallway with my colleague, "You'll never believe this meeting I just had. They just beat me up." And one of my team members overheard me.
Oh, dear.
And so I was dependent upon her to share with me that she had heard something I didn't think that she had heard. And thankfully, we had the relationship where she felt safe to do that. And she cared about me enough to not just walk away and, Angela's talking smack about us, but to let me know what she had heard and how that made her feel. Like, she gave me the opportunity to rebuild that trust.
It's wonderful.
So when you asked me about an example, I was like, well, gosh, I've messed up quite a few times, and how thankful that I am that I have relationship with those people, that they care about me and that they care about the relationship that I have with them, that they provide the space for me to correct it.
One of the thoughts I have about this podcast that sometimes I struggle with, is it right or is it a problem? Is a lot of times it feels like I'm having a lot of the same conversations.
Yeah.
Thematically as well as content-wise. And I bring this up because you're talking about blind spots. And on Monday, I'm recording with a guest about that topic of identity and blind spots. And I think there's only going to be a couple of weeks in between your episodes. I'm looking forward to finding a way to bridge from that, because one of the things that happens, because we have blind spots as human beings, it's unavoidable. We can't see everything about ourselves, is that we inadvertently have opportunities to break trust because of that. So acknowledging it and creating a space where people can tell us that hard thing. I heard you say this awful thing about us.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Angela, because being a leader that someone will come and say that to, that's a leader that someone trusts. So in those day-to-day gaps, it doesn't have to be an end-all be-all. Like, you're not going to break things so badly, hopefully with something like what you shared. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. That if there is trust already present, you can have springboard from that to fix the mess.
So when we were talking about, I'll speak to you and with you and not about you, my experience has been gossip is like one of the number one things that will break trust so quickly.
It does have the potential to.
Lots of people love Brene Brown. Brene Brown gets cited so frequently.
Because she's amazing.
But she talks about the vault. And I'm not sharing other stories. I think all of the things that we've talked about, one of the most important things to walk away with is, as a leader, to be accountable and to build trust. People need to be able to trust that if you have something to say to them, that you will.
And I don't think you can assume that they'll just innately trust that.
Yeah.
You have to be bold and do it. And there are elements of how we interact with each other where trust is the baseline, and then other parts where I can't trust unless I experience it from you. Things like, are you giving me feedback if I'm not doing well? If you don't do it, I don't know. I don't know if I have anything to add beyond that, because it's so vital and important.
I think you said it in the beginning, but one of my other key takeaways is listening well. Being truly present, listening well. Those are two things that have to happen for us to be able to connect. And the connection that happens builds trust.
I agree. No, you talked about inside out leadership. Everything we're talking about starts with me, the leader. A leader is, at the end of the day, the only instrument they have to lead. So am I approaching things in a way that demonstrates awareness, a willingness to trust you, and a desire to be trusted by you?
Kate, I walk away from each of these podcasts just so thankful for all the things we've learned from each other over the time that we work together, and our friendship. Leadership really isn't a solo job.
It's not. Yeah.
And it's so much easier when you have a tribe of support around you. Thank you for being a trusted colleague.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
It is. It's always wonderful. Thank you for coming back one more time. I love that this has turned into a little bit of a tradition.
Me too.
And I look forward to doing this every year with you, if you'll have me.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you for joining me today. If this conversation sparked something useful, please follow the comfy chairs and leave a review. Those small actions help more people find the show. Got a leadership question you'd like featured in a Future Comfy HQ episode? Please send it my way. I'd love to hear what's on your mind. And when you're ready to move from ideas into action, 123 Limited helps leaders build stronger teams, sharper strategies, and better talent plans. Learn more at 123limited.com. That's ONE23LTD.com. Thanks for listening.